Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for being here and welcome to our debate today, the future of transport, SAF and hydrogen, sustainable mobility solutions. My name is Monica David and I represent Intelligent Energy Association, and I have the great pleasure to be here today and to moderate this debate with such great speakers here in Bucharest and also in Madrid, Spain. Just a few words about our organization. Intelligent Energy Association was founded back in 2016. So yes, today we are celebrating 10 years of activity. And our members are professionals from the energy sector. They advocate for increased transparency on the energy market. And through their analysis and studies and by taking positions. And we hope to bring our contribution to finding a solution to the challenges that Romanian energy sector is facing today. The event today is initiated by the Romanian Embassy in Spain, together with Transport and Environment Spain, with the support of Intelligent Energy Association. And it continues a series of events, starting with the event organized by the Spanish Embassy in Bucharest, where our organization was a part of, and also with a working visit that our association organized in Madrid last year with the full support of the Romanian Embassy in Spain. And all these activities shows that a clear interest of Romania and Spain regarding the sustainable mobility. We will discuss today about the current situation of SAF and hydrogen in transport, and we hope for some examples of good practices from Spain. Maybe you have also some advices for us. I will now introduce our speakers, and I wish you very fruitful discussions. So we are in two studios, one in Spain at the Embassy of Romania in Madrid and one in Bucharest. And we have with us Mrs. Raluca Mihailă, chargé d'affaires of the Embassy of Romania in Spain, Mr. Bogdan Bădescu, economic advisor, also with the Romanian Embassy in Madrid. And here in Bucharest, Mr. Dumitru Chisăliță, president of the Intelligent Energy Association, Mrs. Alina Stoienescu, it's an expert within the Energy Employers Federation, and Mr. Ioan Iordache, executive director of the Romanian Association of Hydrogen Energy. And in Spain, we are glad to welcome Mr. Ioan Bucuraș, it's deputy director of Transport and Environment Spain. Mr. Enrique Garcia Otero, Assistant Director of Business Intelligence at IATA, Mr. Francisco Montalban, President of the Andalusian Hydrogen Cluster. So thank you very much for being here. And I would like to start the discussions now. And as I mentioned earlier, the future of transport, SAF and hydrogen, a sustainable mobility solution, is initiated by the Romanian Embassy in Spain. It is now my pleasure to give the floor to Mrs. Raluca Mihailă, chargé d'affaires, for the opening remarks and also for telling us why 2026 is a very important year for Romania and Spain.
Thank you very much, Monica, and thank you all for being with us today. Thank you for this kind introduction. It's a pleasure for me to give you these few opening remarks. What I am confident that will be a very insightful discussion on the future of transport, given our common interest in promoting sustainable mobility solutions. Allow me to briefly explain how this initiative came about and the objectives that lay behind it. You have briefly mentioned that, Monica, before. So indeed, in March 2025, the Intelligent Energy Association from Romania undertook a working visit here in Spain. It was focused on best practices in the development of biofuel infrastructure. The embassy gladly supported the organization of a series of institutional meetings with key Spanish stakeholders, such as the Ministry for Ecological Transition, the Institute for Energy Diversification and Saving, Madrid City Council, as well as private sector actors. And one of the most important outcomes of that visit was realizing the significant potential for cooperation between our two countries. It became clear that we had synergy and complementarity, and that a follow-up initiative was necessary and would be valuable in transforming these opportunities in concrete partnerships. And given that Spain has developed considerable expertise in areas such as biofuels, renewable energy integration, but on the other side, Romania offers interesting advantages through its commitment to modernizing infrastructure, accelerating green transition, making effective use of European funds that can represent very nice, interesting opportunities for Spanish companies. And then at the end of last year, had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Ioan Bucuraș, Deputy Director at Transport and Environment Spain, one of Europe's leading think tanks advocating for clean transport and energy. And I say pleasure because it is always encouraging to see Romanian professionals recognized for their expertise and contributions at both Spanish and European levels. So I take this opportunity to thank Ioan for his interest, involvement, interest in collaborating with us. Together, we explored ways to connect Spain's experience and know-how with the growing interest of Romanian institutions and industry stakeholders. Today's webinar is the result of those discussions, and we hope that it will serve as the beginning of a broader, lasting dialogue aimed at fostering cooperation in green transportation, particularly through public policy exchanges, knowledge sharing, and dissemination of best practices. As Europe advances towards its climate neutrality objective, innovation in the transport sector is becoming increasingly important, and the sustainable aviation fuel and hydrogen technologies are among the most important, most promising solutions for decarbonizing mobility, while simultaneously enhancing security, energy, industrial competitiveness, and economic resilience, all key priorities given the international challenges that we're facing. Spain has established itself as one of Europe's leading actors in these fields through ambitious energy transition strategies, substantial investments in renewable energy, pioneering projects in green hydrogen production, sustainable aviation. And we believe, as it has been mentioned before, that this experience can serve as a valuable source of inspiration, practical knowledge for Romania, and not only. At the same time, the development of sustainable aviation fuel and hydrogen-based mobility creates new opportunities for innovation, industrial growth, international partnerships. By fostering collaboration between public institutions, private sectors, academics, civil society, researchers, we can create the conditions that are necessary to advance with concrete initiatives. This process must be guided not only by technological innovation, economic opportunity, but also by the needs and expectations of our citizens, because ultimately all these things have to go hand in hand. I sincerely hope that today's discussion will generate valuable insights, and most importantly, it will identify practical opportunities for cooperation and investment in green mobility, both in Romania and in Spain. Allow me to thank you all again for your interest and engagement in this dialogue. And I would also like to express my gratitude to our Spanish partners for being with us here today at the embassy. Please be assured that the Romanian embassy in Spain will continue to support and facilitate this exchange, encouraging future collaboration, including what we hope would be through in-person meetings. We remain committed to promoting innovation, sustainable development, and stronger bilateral ties in areas of mutual interest. And speaking of bilateral ties, as Monica was briefly mentioning, I would like to highlight that this year marks indeed a special milestone. We are celebrating 145 years of diplomatic relations between Romania and Spain, and initiatives such as the one that we're having today have a great added value, because behind all the institutional collaboration. It actually adds that added value to the collaboration in all levels of the society, all sectors, and we are very thankful for that. I believe that our strategic partnerships means exactly this. So thank you, and I wish you all very fruitful and insightful discussions. I give the floor to you, Monica.
Thank you very much. We will move the discussions now in our studio in Bucharest, and I will start with Mr. Dumitru Chisăliță, the president of the Intelligent Energy Association, as I would like him to give us an overview on the legal framework. So my question for him is, what are Romania's obligations regarding SAF and hydrogen in transport from the perspective of European and also national legislation? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. And I want to present Romania. It's a part of the EU. This means all the rules which apply to the Brussels will take here in Romania and to try to put in the practice. And we talk about the hydrogen. You start about the RED free in 2023. And after this, we develop on different aspects. I want to give you a very interesting aspect. Romania has the first law of hydrogen. We'll approve in 2023. It was the first country in the EU to have a law for hydrogen. This law established some obligation for industry and transport sector. Another important aspect, it was in 2025 when the Ministry of Energy approved the Romanian strategy of energy. And in this strategy in Romania established till 2030 to have around of 153,000 tons of hydrogen prepared in Romania at green hydrogen. And another important aspect is to have around of 2,170 megawatts electrolyzer which make hydrogen using the green energy. It's a very important figure it's put here in Romania. In that moment, there are three initiatives to prepare green hydrogen in Romania. There are three projects, one in Transylvania, one in Bucharest, and another in the south part of Romania. They are hope till 2028 to have put in function this installation. And of course, in Romania, with development some study for development injected natural gas, hydrogen in the national gas grid. There are two experimental fields to prepare in Transylvania and here in the south part of Romania near Bucharest. And of course, all this part of activity establish the future of the hydrogen here in Romania. For SAF, Romania take the rules which applied in 2023, the rules 2405, and from 2025, Romania applied these rules. This means 2% of the fuels using for the plane, it's prepared for ESF. And for this reason, Romania till now respect the rules and the obligation established in the EU. In the future, there are different initiatives for prepare ESF here in Romania. But for this aspect, I think my colleague will talk more. And I think it's very important to understand Romania. It's a part of EU. It's in the beginning in that moment, but I think it's very important to have these changes of information and to prepare ourselves for the future, for hydrogen, and of course for ESF. Monica, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And I will move now to Mrs. Alina Stoinescu. It's an expert within the Energy Employers Federation. And she will give us an overview of the current situation in Romania regarding the SAF, especially that it's well known that among the Energy Employers Federation members, there are companies that have projects in advanced stages. So we would also appreciate very much some information about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for inviting me. It's really a pleasure to be among such distinguished guests and discuss about the future of SAF in Romania. As you very well mentioned, yes, there are initiatives in our country regarding the production of SAF in Romania. Petrom is one such company that has announced a strategic investment in the production of both SAF and HVO, which is basically a biodiesel installation, which is part of the strategy of the company for 2030. Actually, by 2030, the company is planning to invest 11 billion euro in projects, out of which 25% will be in projects for low carbon and zero emission scope. And out of this, of course, there is the project for producing SAF and HVO. This is a project in a very advanced state. The final decision investment has already been taken. In summary, there's going to be an investment of about 750 million euro that will generate, when ready, a production of 250,000 tons of sustainable product, both SAF and HVO, that will support basically the transition to a lower carbon transport in Romania. Maybe it's worth saying that the biofuels generate 65% less emission than traditional fuels, and the SAF actually reaches a reduction of the GHG emissions with more than 80%. So this puts us very well on the target of reducing the emissions in the transport in Romania.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, the hydrogen subject. As Romania is making important progresses on hydrogen, as Mr. Chisăliță mentioned, we have the hydrogen law, we have a strategy on energy, a strategy on hydrogen, but transport, it's not one of our strengths regarding this sector. I will move our discussion now to Mr. Iordache. What can you tell us about all these things?
So thank you for the invitation. Also, I'm here as the General Manager of a National Research Institute in the area of electrical engineer, ICMET Craiova. So my discussion will be also from Hydrogen Association, but also as a researcher. I'm a researcher, first of all. In the area of hydrogen, indeed, Romania didn't make so very aggressive progress, but in a scientific community and technical community, we already have projects. Personally, I have a long cooperation with partner from Spain. Now with the colleagues from Andalusia, I'm present from 3 years in the National Green Hydrogen Congress. So congratulations, Francisco, for this event, which is very big and important. Now, discussing about Romania, we have some projects, some demonstration regarding transport. Was first car in Romania in 2018. After this in 2019 was cars and hydrogen bus. After this again, we have some buses which cross Romania in some demonstrative project. But indeed, we in Romania, we have not an industry regarding hydrogen mobility. We have automakers, we have locomotive makers, but all of these are not with hydrogen. But all company, and in the last week I was present in one locomotive company in Craiova, which they want to start a project regarding hydrogen locomotives. Of course, is need to understand that hydrogen is not enough to put in one place. Is need to have all valley of hydrogen production. And of course, we discuss now about green hydrogen and low carbon production, because is a similitude between, is something similar, sorry, between Romania and Spain. We have green, we have nuclear, also they have the same situation. So we have low carbon and we can produce, but also is need to manipulate, to transport, to have a distribution regarding hydrogen, because Usually now the industry of hydrogen is very easier. I made hydrogen in the same place with the utilization. It's not a connection just between installation, but not in the area where is a public goods, public population, towns, area which is not under industrial, let's say, administration. So this manipulation is important to transport hydrogen from factory to final user. And second, final user is important not to be only transport, for example, is need to have transport, is need to have green chemistry, and here is ammonia, is need to have energy, because energy storage must be hand in hand with the renewables. So this is a general framework. Now in Romania, I repeat, regarding transport, we have some demonstration, but we have not in Romania one industry which is able to make locomotive cars or buses with hydrogen. Opposites, chemical and petrochemical industry is more mature because there we have installation, both green or traditional one. So we have some experience, but which I want to be very clear, Spain have more progress than us, and we can learn from them. If till with 10 years ago, Germany was main locomotive in the area of hydrogen, now Spain work serious and made serious progress regarding green hydrogen and green ammonia, because for them is important to understand that hydrogen, in fact, is nothing if you don't put in a good place with good workers and have a add value, not to make hydrogen because we love hydrogen. This is my my speech, let's say, maybe was too general, but you need to understand the context when and how the hydrogen must move from chemistry to energy as an energy vector.
Well, thank you very much. And we will move now to Spain, but only virtually, because Spain has some remarkable results on SAF and also on hydrogen in transport. And this is definitely the result of tremendous work. I would like to ask Mr. Ioan Bucuraș now a question. Spain has understood the importance of the climate action, but to achieve a good result, you need an effective mix of political decision, competitive industry, and also public acceptance. So how did Spain manage to bridge together all these elements?
Thank you very much, and good day to everyone. And thank you for setting up this event. And I'm very happy that on behalf of Transport and Environment, which is Europe's leading think tank in sustainable transport, we can foster this type of dialogue together with the industry, but also with decision makers and regulators. Now, when it comes to Spain, I think fairly early it understood that it has an abundance of renewable energies. May it be solar, may it be hydrogen, may it be wind, so eolian energy as well. All those coupled together and maximized in a systemic way, because it's not just a question of energy and renewable availability, as Mr. Iordache just previously mentioned. It's a question of integrating those systems holistically. And now that we know that transport is intertwined with energy security and energy availability, and well, from our side as Transport and Environment, we foster clean energy. So Spain understood all those things. Spain understood that it has the capacities to produce those. Spain still struggles with a few things, like many other countries in the energy transition, but it's leading the way in terms of fostering clean tech and making available not only and here we're talking about second, third, and fourth generation of feedstocks that are being used for, or crops that are being used for biofuels, but we're also talking about something that is beyond SAF, and that is eSAF, which is produced synthetic fuel produced only from clean hydrogen, or it should be produced from clean hydrogen, as well as biogenic captured carbon. So I think that given the fact that we have a regulatory framework at European level, we have this very known package Fit for 55, which was the big scarecrow of the industry when it came out, right? But I think that the difference that we see now is the players that understood that they have to invest smartly, to integrate the system smartly, and they did. And in Spain, we see that even traditional players like oil suppliers, they are slowly converting, or at least there's pilot projects that are hinting towards producing clean fuels and so-called e-fuels. So that being said, I think, and the reason why I wanted us to have this dialogue is because from our perspective, from transport and environment, what we've seen, I know Germany was mentioned previously by Mr. Yordaki as well, and other countries. What we really see here is that Spain understood those challenges and is actually betting on the future of renewables. And one last thing that maybe I would want to mention before we go into the debate with our experts here, one in aviation and one in green hydrogen, which I think is very interesting because they integrate those systems. So aviation needs to run on fuel, and well, the fuel is produced by the fuel producers, right? Is essentially where we stand today in the current geopolitical world and energy scarcity. Producing renewable fuels at scale is not only a matter of energy security in Spain, but I think for the whole European Union. And I'm very grateful that we have the chance to speak about this today, also in the context that Romania is a very good turf, or very good, has a lot of potential to become also a green hub in Eastern Europe. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. And we are reaching out my favorite part of the event, when we will find out more things about how Spain managed to achieve such great results. And I would like to ask Mr. Enrique Garcia Otero about the current situation in Spain, about you using SAF, and also how did your country manage to have such great results?
Thank you very much. I'll start sharing the presentation. Well, thank you very much, first of all, we're getting ready with the presentation. This is a great opportunity. We thank both the Transport Environment and all the Romanian embassy and all the institutions represented here for this opportunity. This is a great initiative. May I ask if you can see our slides already, or not yet, right? But I work in the International Air Transport Association. IATA is the trade association of airlines worldwide, and we're monitoring very closely the advancement of different countries around the world when it comes to sustainability, and SAF in particular is one of the things that are worrying us most. I understand now people can see the slides, right? We hope so. Could you confirm?
Are we okay with the presentation? Yes. Yes. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Good. So basically, what we do is we are not producers of SAF. I think green hydrogen and SAF, which come together, probably my colleague in my lab will be able to talk even more about the technicalities. But as I mentioned, from IATA, we like to monitor, and we have very ambitious targets and objectives when it comes to decarbonization. And I would like to share that with the audience here today, because I think it's probably a good opportunity to do so. So let me first start by framing the discussion a little bit. What are we speaking about when we talk about aviation in general for the world? Aviation contributes to 4.1 trillion of GDP worldwide. It's something that definitely cannot be ignored. We're talking about 4%, nearly a little bit less than 4% of the global GDP, and it's 86.5 million jobs supported by aviation worldwide. In the particular case of our nations here represented, Romania and Spain, we can see that for Romania, $6 billion is the contribution of aviation. 1.7% of the GDP of Romania is represented is supported by aviation, including tourism transport. Tourism. And we are speaking about 170,000 jobs. To the right, we can see the same numbers, but for Spain. You can tell that it's significantly larger, especially, I mean, not too worried about the up to the numbers of contribution to GDP, but the percentage. We're speaking about almost 11% in Spain. This is taking 23 data. We're about to update this, but it's probably gone up in both countries, including our jobs. The message here that I would like to convey, which I think is good news for all of us, is that there is plenty of room, potential in Romania for growth. And aviation is adding already a huge value to Romania, but it can add even more. I am confident that Romania is investing very intensively in improvement of networks, improvement of connectivity. Romania is a great country that has very important elements, both in the traditional business model as well as in the low cost. And
I apologize for interrupting. Can you please share again the presentation? And as I think there is that might be a small problem with it.
Okay, cannot see my. Okay, the meantime, while we
can
speak.
only see the first slide. I don't know if. Okay, now that it's good now. Thank you. Great.
Sure. Okay. Thank you very much for letting me know. Did I click the wrong button, maybe? There. You can see this. Can you see?
Yes.
Can you see
Yes.
it? Okay. So moving on. Okay. So, but of course, we're here to speak about decarbonization, the SAF, green hydrogen. The airline industry has a commitment by 2050 to achieve net zero carbon emissions, which is aligned with the long-term aspirational goal from ICAO, from the United Nations, and we're very invested, very engaged into that objective. Achieving net zero air transport by 2050 is it's not an easy target. At the moment, fossil fuels account for over 80% of the global energy consumption, and the energy transition, we believe, should focus on the source of the CO2, not on the industry that uses it. In order to achieve net zero emissions by 2050, we have identified that there are a number of levels, there are a number of ways in which we can accomplish it. The baseline in the blue line at the top represents how much CO2 emissions we need to abate by 2050. The rest of the lines represent how we're going to do that. We can see that there is a line that shows much bigger than the rest. The SAF. And that's the good news about SAF. SAF is really going to be the cornerstone of the decarbonization of aviation. Without SAF, I think somebody said it, without SAF, unless the aliens come and give us a completely new technology, it's going to be difficult to decarbonize aviation. So we didn't count SAF. Nevertheless, there's a black thin line in the middle of the green here that is representing how much we believe the actual development itself can happen between now and 2050, how can we evolve? And it means that it can vary very substantially depending on how the policies and the support and incentives from the authorities and the governments evolve in this year. So even though we strongly count on SAF, we know there is a big uncertainty in the level, in the terms that it is dependent on many aspects, such as the help and support from governments.
I think
This is.
I'm sorry. I think that you stopped sharing the presentation, and as we don't see it anymore.
Don't worry, we'll fix that.
I'm not touching anything.
Yes, of course we will. You are presenting some very interesting figures, so we don't want to miss them. So.
Can you confirm and tell me, or tell me what can you see?
Or we can start to show the presentations from here, and you just tell us when to move on with the slides.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Can you
Perhaps if you move with the mouse, it would be more safer.
yeah, maybe should I give you
No,
the,
no, no. The thing is the mouse.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Can you see the,
Yes. Yes, we can see the presentation now.
You need to store something to make it zoom. Please screen
there?
perfect because this okay perfect. So the next slide we want to show is one that shows what is the actual percentage of contribution of the CO2 emission stream of aviation to the global CO2 man emissions, just 2.3%. Transport represents 23%. So we're saying that aviation is the means of transport that contributes the least to this, but still, I mean, obviously, we have to do something about it. To the right, you can see how, depending on the growth of aviation, how it goes, how it can actually be. I'm not going to, because I'm conscious that when we're going to be this low technical progress, I'm going to go faster. This is the breakdown of the different ways in which we can reduce the CO2 emissions. 65% of the abatement of carbon emissions is going to be thanks to SAF. New technologies, 13%. That represents the hydrogen fueled airplanes, the electric airplanes, and other new technologies, improvements in engines. Offsetting of carbon capture and other improvements in infrastructure also contribute. But without SAF, we're really going to be struggling to. Now, coming to SAF and focusing more particularly to SAF, one of the first extreme messages that I want to share with this audience is SAF production pathways are a multitude, there are many of them, and we can use from waste fats, used cooking oil, to algae oils, to invasive alien plants. It's mostly happening in Africa, as far as I know. Regenerative covered crops, forestry waste residues, of which I'm sure Romania has lots of them. The agricultural waste, I'm sure also Romania has lots of that. Solid municipal, household, industrial waste, that every country has that. Waste gases, and of course, gaseous CO2 coming from the atmosphere to the power to liquid. So there are many different technologies that you can see in the center: the HEFA, alcohol jet, isotopes, power to liquid. There's a multitude of options, and we have to concentrate on all of them in different stages. If we want to account for this 65% of SAF abatement by 2050 that we need to accomplish in order to become carbon neutral, that represents 500 million tons of SAF that we need to be able to produce by 2050. 500 million tons. We're speaking right now about thousands. Oh, nice. And we need to move to billions of tons. So it is and of course, although I'm sure you will will speak about the cost and everything. She's more an expert than I am. The feedstock represents the lion's share of the cost of producing SAF, which is at the moment the biggest molecule. SAF, as you probably know, is 2 to 4 times more expensive, and SAF is up to 10 times more expensive. Now, one good message that I would like to share is that without even having to resort to SAF, so now we see that SAF is probably the long way is the one that's most scalable, is the solution that can give us the most percentage of CO2 abatement, but it's still SAF. Probably for biosAF, meaning all the SAF that can be produced from biological processes, can account to 300 million tons. On the left, you can see the entire unconstrained feedstock availability. Of course, we cannot count on all that availability. That includes municipal solid waste, agricultural residues, etc. In the center, you can see everything that is available to bioenergy and biofuels, considering the legislations, the constraints that exist. And to the right part, you can see how much can actually be used for production of SAF. The good news is 300 million tons up to 250, which is more than half of what we need. Yeah. So yeah, we need SAF. It's something that we have to work on. But SAF also is part of the solution. Yeah. How much time do I have left? Exploring is little, no?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I don't think.
I will go fast, but just a few messages. Then in the Unions, 2024, the global SAF production was 1 million tons. We're talking that we need 500 million tons by 2050. 2025 was up for 9%, and estimated for 2026 is 2.4%. But you can see that there is a SAF capacity, bigger, dust, lighter rectangles on top of the bars of actual SAF. That represents what actually can happen. At the moment, the world has capacity to build as much as almost 10 million tons of SAF without producing it. The reason is because there is a market. This is a complex situation. The fuel producers are, of course, trying to sell SAF, but also trying to sell biofuels and biodiesel, etc., that compete in a sense in the market. Therefore, at the moment, there's 2.4 of production of SAF, but there can be much more. It's also a good piece of news, we believe. Now, the 2026 SAF production is 2.4, is only going to account for 0.8% of the global jet fuel use. So at the moment, in 2026, with my current projections, SAF, all forms of SAF, are going to account for 0.8%, which means that we're still on track with difficulties, but we're looking forward. Now, if anybody wants to have, there's some information. I'm not the message of the system because I see that's helping. But there's I posted a link at the bottom. If you go to IATA's website, or you search in Google IATA Sustainability Aviation Fuel, it will direct you to a website in which IATA is tracking all the projects in the world that are producing SAF or eSAF, and also all the policies that are applicable in other countries. So it's very good for the Romanian institutions, for the Romanian governments to go and search, okay, how does Romania compare to Spain, with any other countries in the world? How does, not only in terms of the production, but also in terms of the policy that we're applying. That helps in understanding also the US is applying incentives to production. Are we doing that? Maybe not. It's a useful transparent
aligning on.
That's why I'm saying here. Sorry that I cannot, I don't want to mess with it.
Yeah, very well.
For instance, you sense that bottom line, emission fuel SAF, in Google, you find the one page. If we look down into the projects in the different areas of the world, we can see that Americas, that's mostly the US, I have to say, although all around the whole Americas, there's lots of initiatives as well, but the US is the lion's share, if I may. The SAF production capacity by project that is estimated to 2030 at the moment is of 8 million tons in the Americas, 6 million tons in Europe, and 3 million in 0.3. The thing is, all that operating is a little part, more likely pipelines is the gray, blue, but we have a least likely pipelines of things that are simply announced. So there are some projects in Spain that talk about eSAF that have been announced, but nothing else. So there's lots of volatility, and still we need lots of support from the government to make all those projects a reality. If we look at the 2030 picture again, and we look at the share of the technologies, how it would be the capacity that is announced, we will see that HEPA by 2050 will still account for 95%. So we cannot ignore HEPA. We need to help the HEPA pathway, which is a way to produce SAF. We need to help it develop in the next years, or we'll be seeing the intermediate steps to get to the SAF in the future beyond 2050. Probably will be 2%. Of course, we want that to be growing, but we cannot ignore the rest of the pathways. And gaseous treatment jobs also are important. If we want to break down by capacity outlook in 2030 by region, we can see in Europe, it's going to have HEPA 4.5, but in terms of power in liquid, it's the bottom one that has the little flag, 0.1. Now, my closing message on this: we see that the US, North America, is having is ahead of Europe. Europe obviously is very much influenced or capacity by the regulations that we have in Europe, the FuelEU and the Green Deal, and those aspects are really important. But we have to take into account that with mandates alone, we're not being able to be on top of the US. The European Union right now probably is the greenest of the supranational entities in the world. And despite the strong political support for the mandates, we see that we're not leading the all regions as the US are leading. Probably part of the question is that we're only asking for mandates, and we're not focusing so much in the incentives, in providing the money, making the industry possible. We're making it mandatory by law to have SAF, but we're somehow not fully understanding the mechanisms that make that SAF solution. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your kind presentation. My question remains the same, but we are just moving now towards hydrogen. So I would like to ask Mr. Francisco Montalban, how did Spain manage to get the result that it's having today? And also, if you can give us an overview on the current situation in using hydrogen, we would appreciate it very much.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here in the Romania Embassy, of course. And it's a pleasure also to see that Mr. Giordake is putting our pin in the jacket. Hello, Mr. Giordake. I hope to see you again in our national.
Thank you. Welcome.
Very good. Nice to see you here. Okay, I can go to my presentation if you want, and I can show you something you are asking to me.
I'm gonna share, and hopefully it will be
Let me know if you see.
not playing with our patience.
Yes.
Let's see.
Good. Okay. Do you see the screen?
Okay,
Let's
yes,
hope so.
we do see
Good.
the presentation. It's good.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm the president of the Hydrogen Andalusian Hydrogen Cluster. I represent many companies in this South Spain region, entities, not only institutionals, mainly private companies that we are going to do many things, many projects related with hydrogen. And I will go directly to the possible projects that we are going to do in Andalusia, and also I will take some vision, some view in the general country, in all the country. And I selected the most viable projects I see in the way, because there are many of them that they are going down due to some restrictions or the lack of network connection in the electrical network, or some legality problems in the way. The most important project. This is Andalusia. This is a map of the south of Spain. You see on the west side, on the left, on this screen, you can see the Atlantic Sea, and on the right, we are in the Mediterranean. So the corner in the south of this map is Cadiz, is the corner and the border between the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. And if you go south, you will find out Morocco, you will find out Africa. So we are in a very nice position, in a very strategical position of the transportation by ship, by vessel from Mediterranean to Atlantic. And in that way, due that we have a lot of chemicals productions and chemical industries in the south of Spain, Cadiz, you can see the province, and also in Huelva, on the west, where Mr. Giordake visits us every year for the National Hydrogen Congress. In Huelva,
I'm sorry for interrupting. We are only seeing the first slide of your presentation. Okay, now we can see the map.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay, great. I think it's working now.
Okay, thank you very much for listening. Okay, and as you can see, there are many projects, but mainly related and linked to chemical processes, because we have seen that the most important emission of CO2 is coming from the chemical industry and the high intensity production industrial companies. So this is one point. Another point is that we are developing projects around ports, harbors, because these parts are very critical in order to not only to decarbonize the activity and the chemicals, also because this is the place where we can transport, we can make a possible bunkering for the CO, methanol or ammonia uses for propulsion in big vessels. If we see from the west side of this map, we can see Huelva and Cádiz. These corners you see, and on the right of this photo, you can see the map of Africa. We are only 14 kilometers from Spain to Morocco. So just now, just last week, I was in Morocco in a commercial mission, also to know how Morocco is going up, is going down, and is moving on around hydrogen investments. And you can see here the Moeve project. Moeve project is a chemical company, and they are planning 1 giga of electrolysis in Huelva and 1 giga of electrolysis in Algeciras. And the main targets are, you see on the bottom of the slide, they want to produce hydrogen, mainly thinking on their processes, and also mainly perhaps exporting to the north of Europe through the H2Med pipeline that starts in Huelva with another arm to Algeciras, and go to the north of Spain, from west to the east, and from east to France, and from France to Germany. The pipeline is showing us that it is the cheapest way to transport hydrogen from the production to the consumption place. But they want to do also ammonia, they want to do also methanol, SAF for the aviation, and they are thinking to create around 12,000 new jobs with an investment of more than 5,000 million euros. And they want to save more than 7 megatons of CO2 emissions. But we have more. I have selected another one, is a German company, Viitorul. This company from Germany is coming to Spain because Spain has the biggest possibilities in relation with renewables, wind and solar. So if we have a cheaper electricity cost, you can produce cheapest hydrogen and cheaper SAF and cheaper derivatives. So they are coming to Spain, and the most advanced project is in the south of Spain, in the Cádiz province, in the bottom of this slide, the Sol, Y, High, Cádiz. It's already fully permitted. Only they need to start the building of this plant. They want to do methanol, mainly methanol, and they have already the off-taker in Germany that they will buy all the production from the south of Spain. Another interesting project is hydrogen. Hydrogen has many projects. This province you see in blue color, and they want to produce hydrogen, ammonia, methanol, SAF, and many things, mainly for the internal consumption and also for possible exportation, mainly from the harbor of Huelva, the southwest blue color, and from Asturias is the north blue color you see in the map, on the sea.
Sorry, for the moment we can see the slide with the map and the project with Andalusian Green Hydrogen Hub. I don't know if we're supposed to see something else.
Yes. I don't know.
It's okay if you let it like this and
Yeah, can you see
Yes.
this now?
Yes. We have the project portfolio now on
Very
screen.
good. Very
Exactly.
Oh, yes, it's possible. Now I am showing you another possible project, is a new project. They are already approved and they are already building one plant of methanol and SAF in Gijón, is the north blue color you see in the map. And also it's a very important project. Again, derivatives from hydrogen. You see that we are not centering our production only in hydrogen, mainly in derivatives, because it's a need for industrial purposes, and also this is the easiest way to transport hydrogen anywhere. This is an important company also. Ignis is a very important company in Spain. They have many projects, and some of them are stopped due that they don't have electrical connection to the grid. One big problem in Spain, due to our grid is completely full in some places, and it's difficult to connect the projects and to build up a new electrolysis system. So, for example, in Sevilla, is the city I'm living, is in the south of Spain also. They have a project of 300 mega of electrolysis to produce ammonia, and the project is completely stopped due that they don't have electrical connection. Also, harbors are changing the structure, and they are adapting their facilities in order to allow the arrival of new derivatives, mainly ammonia and mainly methanol, and also SAF. This is the port of Algeciras is one of the biggest in Europe. I think is the fourth in Europe in movements of big chemicals and big vessels, and they are adapting new facilities around the harbor in order to accept and to adapt the installations for the new oils and the new derivatives from hydrogen. Exolum is another company that they are in the midstream. They are specialized in the distribution. As Mr. Yodake said to us, we need to produce, we need to consume, we need to transport, we need to manage these kind of things. Exxon is a expertise company. They are doing a lot of new storages, bunkering, a new system for transportation. And also we have deep on rail transportation. We have a very nice rail network in Spain from the south to the North Europe. We can send this kind of products, mainly ammonia and methanol. They are starting with CO2 because CO2 is another very important utility we will need in the very near future for example, for the production of SAF. But they are also starting to think about hydrogen. Hydrogen by train is not available just now, but also they think that is not good opportunity and a good solution to transport hydrogen by train. Is not a good solution. But for the rest, they are already doing from the south of Spain to the north of Europe in 3-4 days. They can reach a big amount of ammonia and methanol. Also, Tepsa is a bunkering company. Also, they are related with vessel transportation, and they are also increasing the investment in the facilities to transport chemicals from south of Spain to North Europe, because and now we don't have any pipeline to transport hydrogen, and they are facilitating all the possibilities to transport methanol and ammonia mainly. In this slide, you cannot see perhaps very easily, but you can see the commissioning timeline, when we start and when we can reach all these projects running. Around 2027, they will start to build up. The most advanced one is Moeve in the south of Spain, in Huelva. And all these projects I show you, they said to me that they want to finish they can finish the project and start to produce completely 100% in 2032. So it's not far away. But also in this slide, I wanted to show you one of the big problems we are finding out around these developments. And these problems that we are finding are common in every place, perhaps also in Romania. Mainly, we don't have bankable off-takers. So we have problems to find out off-takers. And without off-takers, it's difficult to develop these kind of projects. It's a question of market. We need market. Also, rules, as Enrique says, also European Union is specialized in normatives and bureaucracy. And we are going very, very slowly to develop these kind of things. So in some countries, like Spain, the LMBO or the RED 3 rules is not yet transposed to our legislation. So it creates a lot of uncertainty to the development of the projects. We need problems with the grid connection, as I said to you before. So this is very important. Our government has to increase and that has to improve the network of electricity. We need infrastructure. I think the best is to use pipelines for the hydrogen transportation and using the usual means for the chemicals, because it is very well known. One important thing is to have the CO2 supply. CO2 is a utility that we never think properly in our projects. And hydrogen, and we are speaking hydrogen, but we need CO2, biogenic CO2. And at the end, we have to think about the competitiveness of European Union, because China is coming, USA is also leading, as we saw with the Enrique presentation, and we have to lead or not. The question is about technologies and about production capacity. What's happening about this? Perhaps we have to make in value the made in Europe. Perhaps we have to put in that way, and also we have to create some incentives to create more market in European Union about green hydrogen and renewables derivatives. Another point is important to know that electrolysis system can create and can stabilize the electrical network, and we have to ask for governments and electrical companies that they have to make some values and make some special subsidies due to that. In Spain, we suffered a breakdown of the electricity just more or less 1 year ago, and I think sometimes we can see in Spain some windmills stop, or some electrical coming from solar panels. We cannot go in a grid because there are not enough consumption, and the electrolysis system could take this energy for the creation and production of very low cost hydrogen for the system. And I think this is all the things I wanted to say. Sorry for the long presentation, but I wanted to show you the real scenario for country about hydrogen projects and derivatives.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It brought a lot of figures and a lot of information. And now I'm glad that we have so many insights on the current situation of these fuels in Romania and in Spain. But I still have a few questions, because I want to find out more about the main challenges, or how can these challenges be turned into opportunities. And also I would like to have a little bit the pulse of the industry regarding SAF and hydrogen, together with the opinion of our experts regarding how should government involve in stimulating these two sectors. So I just have that classical question about challenges and opportunities. I will first ask Mrs. Alina Stoinescu about these things in Romania, and if our country is ready to align to the European trends.
Well, definitely we are on a good path. We do have the prerequisites to align to the European trends and targets. We have a refining industry that can accommodate the production of sustainable fuels. We do have the potential to acquire locally the feedstock for it. And of course, we have a very good geographical position that we should use at best. There is already, of course, demand for SAF. The reality is that the demand currently is driven by the policies and by the targets that exist and that are already in place starting with 2025. These targets are going to only increase with 2030, and also starting with 2030, there are not going to be only targets for SAF, but also for eSAF, so for the synthetic aviation fuels, which I believe is going to bring some challenges in itself, because the reality of the transition to low carbon transport in general, and in general to low carbon economy, is that it comes with a higher price tag. And this price tag needs to be accommodated and needs to be the gap between, let's say, the traditional fuels and the sustainable fuels needs to be supported, to be reduced. And this is where the authorities and the state comes into place.
Thank you very much. And I also have the same question regarding hydrogen, because hydrogen in transport, it's a very good solution for decarbonization, the transport that is hard to be electrified, but still it comes with a very high cost. How do you think, Mr. Iordache, that hydrogen can be implemented in transport efficiently?
Idea is that transport is not so important if it's low carbon or high carbon. The transport is important and we need transport. The question is how switch actual system to one which is more clean. But it's the same discussion which people put on the table. If we are able to pay. Second, if we want to pay, because a lot of people say, I want to be green, but when it's need to make effort, no. So the main condition for any technology, also for transport, is to discover the solution and to accommodate price and needs. If the price is too high, it's impossible to cover. If it's we need green, but you have not possibility to go, not with the technology, with the price, is the second problem. So if we want to discuss about sustainability, is need to understand not only ecological part, also social and economic part. Because now in Europe and in USA, of course, is a little, not a little, is a big pressure, sorry, against ecological solution because of price, because of competitivity, because we Europe are not only us, Europe on the old, is Asian market, American market, Southeast American market. So there's a lot of question, and the ideal solution is not existing. It's just made step by step, and examples from Spain are very evident. They put some reality. They need green chemicals. They have a lot of sun. They have a lot of wind. So let's to put first this together from some practical and immediately needs. And step by step, of course, we can accommodate. Now regarding transport, first of all, we must learn from the others and to start some demonstrative project in a village, like a local transport, like a connection, to be demonstrative, to be integrated with the other solution for hydrogen. And for example, in Cluj-Napoca, they want to have a green transport with hydrogen. Also, they want to have hydrogen for energy, for city needs regarding heat and so on. So if we made some combination, of course, the price will be higher. But first of all, is need to try something which is practical. And you can see in 1 or 2 years, no more immediate results. If you invest in the future without see the future, is quite difficult for you like a company, because people will never understand for what to pay, for what to do. So my point of view is to make some practical project. We already have some lesson. Spain is one of these countries which they start and put some real problems and try to solve with hydrogen. And one times more congratulations for colleagues from Spain. They show to us a lot of concrete examples. We have some few. Colleagues from OMV are here and they made, but with one company or 2 companies not enough. It's need to try to increase the number of projects.
Thank you very much. And investing in the future was a very nice thing to hear. And I'm sure that Spain did exactly this thing. And I would like to ask Mr. Enrique Garcia Otero about the biggest challenge that Spain was facing in approaching SAF, and how did you overcome it?
Well, probably not the best to answer about the investments themselves. I speak on behalf of the industry. The problems that we're finding right now is basically on the electricity problem that my colleague just mentioned, and Also, the fact that we don't see yet a positive incentives program for all SAF and SAF markets. The airlines have a difficulty in engaging into long-term offtake agreements, as you very rightly said so, because the financial structure, operational structure of airlines does not allow for that type of commitments in the long term. We're speaking about prices that are up to 10 times more expensive than regular fuel, and no single airline being a business that is margins of 3% profit can afford that in the long term. So what we believe could be a positive development would be the generalization of these incentive programs that we have seen starting in some countries such as Germany or Portugal, where we see that the governments are making humble attempts, but still in the right direction. Right now, for example, in Spain, there is a debate in the Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Ecological Transition, about having a decarbonization of aviation national strategic plan. We believe that's a good initiative as well. But definitely the access to energy is a problem. The difficulty of having long-term offtake agreements by the airlines themselves. Probably if the big fuel distributors, such as also BP, all those, probably can step in. There could be other options. It's difficult to tell because technically these things are difficult, but people are studying options such as double-sided auctions and contracts for difference. I'm not going to advocate in favor of those yet because it's extremely difficult, challenging solutions that require lots of thorough analysis of the pros and cons. But those are the things that people are considering. If I may, on the positive side, one thing that maybe we can share with Romania is the good experience we have with the pipelines that are joining all the airports in Europe. You mentioned Exxon, which is a company that in Spain has a network of pipelines that is linking all the airports, well, not all, but the majority of the airports in Spain are linked with pipelines that are meant for fuel distribution. So you can produce fuel for aviation in Cartagena, in the south, and you can have those molecules physically transported to Bilbao in the north of Spain, near France. And that is a good thing, I think, that probably is a matter of being studied by Romania. Just to give an example. And in general, I think, just to close, the problem that we have right now with the SAF market, for which hydrogen and green hydrogen in particular is key, because all the different pathways require both not only power to liquid, but HEFA and different pathways require hydrogen as part of the process, some more intensely, some less intensely, but all of them do. But the problem we are facing is that of a market that is still immature. An immature market has remote locations, not very well connected among themselves, of local production. We have disparity in prices. We have difficulty of demand meeting capacity production. Incentives, in some way you can claim in which a production, physical production that is done in Cartagena can be accounted for in Oslo or in Bucharest or anywhere in Europe. Those are probably among the solutions that we need, if I may.
Thank you very much. And staying with the opportunities and the challenges, also quite the same questions for Mr. Francisco Montalban, but this time what was the strength or the biggest opportunity for Spain to develop the hydrogen and green hydrogen?
Well, the most interesting opportunities in Spain is that we have many renewable energies available. We have territory, free territory. Spain is some parts empty, and we have very nice infrastructure related with harbors, with ports. I think ports are very important because Spain is a peninsula. We are completely covered by sea around, less by France, less by Portugal, but Portugal is a very good friend, and we have a very good relation with Portugal. Also France, but very more nuclear than us. So at the end, we have just now we have around almost 60% of our electricity every year is almost renewable, almost 60%. If we add the 20% of the nuclear, we are almost 80% of decarbonized economy in energy speaking. But of course, we are not decarbonized in chemical production, for example. So I think the question is we have the opportunity to not only to produce our own hydrogen for our own decarbonization, we have the opportunity to be an export of energy from South Spain or Spain to North Europe. If you go to Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, the territory is completely full. There is no sun. Sun there is very few. The wind is complex because also the society is going against because the territory is so full that there are not space for other things like energy, and people are upset with the new windmills in that area of Europe. So we have a big opportunity, we have the big possibilities, and as preparing this meeting with you, I have found, and I'm very happy to see that Romania is similar to us because you are in the Black Sea area, you have sea, you have harbors, you have wind, you have renewables, nuclear, so you can reach a very nice decarbonized energy system and also to produce low price hydrogen. So we need the corridors from south to north with hydrogen and derivatives, and also Central Europe, Europe in general, needs also corridors from east to the west and center of Europe. So I think Romania has a very nice opportunity, similar to Spain, and we are completely open-minded and open arms to collaborate with you because we would be a pleasure to develop as fast as possible these kind of possibilities and opportunities. Of course. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And investing in future, it's still in my mind. So I would like to know what are the next steps for Romania, for SAF and also hydrogen. And coming back to the Romanian experts here, I would like to ask Mrs. Alina Stoinescu about the industry. What are the next steps if the industry is ready to embrace SAF and to invest in it, and how should Romanian government involve in this, and how can stimulate this sector?
I think the industry is ready to do it, as already investments are in progress. But it's not enough that the industry is ready. So there are several other topics that need to be addressed, and some were already mentioned before. One important topic in Romania is to have sustainable access to the raw materials, because Romania has a very high potential to secure the feedstock that's needed for the production of biofuels and SAF. However, the collection of this feedstock is still to be properly developed, not yet there. We need to have clear and stable, that's very important, to have stable regulatory framework. Without a very clear vision to the future, significant investments cannot be made. Yeah. So this is why we need stability. And we need also the regulatory framework to be adjusted to the local context. It's very important that we understand also the potential of Romania, and we also understand that, as I was mentioning earlier, the transition comes with a higher cost, which means we need to show flexibility on one hand on the targets that Romania and generally Europe is setting up. I was mentioning that we are going to start having targets for SAF from 2030. It's going to start with, I think, 1.2%, but this percentage is going to increase significantly. And I think it's very important that we show flexibility, because the product is going to be significantly more expensive even than SAF. And it's also not going to be very likely available in the volumes that we will need at that point. So I think we need to ensure the possibility of replacing it with SAF, because at the end of the day, I think it was mentioned earlier, the objective is to reduce the CO2 footprint. How we do it is, of course, very important, but we should be flexible on how we do this as long as we reach the target. And last but not least, it's important to support both the development of the projects. So there need to be support mechanisms in place, and I know Romania is preparing one, but not just for producing the SAF, but also for the users. Yeah, so the product is much more expensive. Also, the airline companies need to be supported in order to be able to acquire this product and for them to have an incentive to do that other than the regulatory framework. And I think here Denmark is a very good example, because they are now setting up supporting mechanisms that is going to be applied for the airlines in order for them to increase the SAF quota for internal domestic flights, basically. That's going to be up to 40%. So that's a very high percentage, but it is supported, yeah, by the authorities. I think at the end of the day, what is important is that all the players, the producers, the utilization, the consumers, but also the state, stay together, collaborate, and then we can develop a sustainable business.
Thank you very much. And also the same question for Mr. Iordache. What are the next steps for Romania to implement hydrogen, especially in transport? And if the industry is ready for this, if the transport operators are ready for this, and how should the government support this?
For me, it's quite difficult to speak in the name of industry, but she already explained exactly how they see the situation. Important is to understand that this transitions to green will not be finished now. It's a long-term discussion, because now we focus more on CO2, but environmental problems is very diverse. After we finish CO2, will be other problems to solve. So we must integrate this, but in a manner to be able to support and sustain. Because of course, everybody wants. The little boys want a big piece of cake, but who will pay? And finally, he will not be able to eat. It's important to be realist. And the important is for authorities in Romanian, of course, I suppose not only, but in Romanian, to discuss with the people which know what about. Because usually, me, Mr. Kiselica, other colleagues, we are asked after they put the rules, after they start the project, and now, of course, what can to explain to you is a very beautiful Titanic. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. We are getting close to the end of our event today, but not before asking our guest in Spain, the experts in Spain on SAF and hydrogen, for some advices maybe for Romania. We can start with SAF.
I can say you. I think it's important in that point that the society has advice and has to know what is this change. What is the meaning? For example, when I go to buy a flight ticket, some companies ask for me a small amount to pay in addition for using SAF. But really, do you think that really the society and the population in general knows what is that? Know what is the meaning of this SAF? Know why I do pay that? Why? Because what? What is the meaning? Or why I will pay more? Because at the end I will arrive to the same place at the same time and with the same luggage. So I think it's important two things. One, to diffuse, to inform the society and the people what is that, what is this change, and also to train and to create talent to develop and to use the new technologies and the new industrial systems we are going to go and to install in our countries. Without talent and without information and acceptance from the society, I think we cannot do anything. And if we want, perhaps they don't want. So we are minority in relation with the rest of the people. This is one point I wanted to say to you, because I think it's one of the lack also we are having here in Spain. Thank you.
Yeah, so from my side, just I would say explore the possibilities of all the different biofuel feedstocks that you have. Romania, very rich country in many aspects, and everything that has to do with the feedstocks that require for biofuel, forestry residue, agriculture residue, municipal solid waste. All those are aspects that have huge potential. We're speaking about 300 billion tons potential by 2050, and definitely I would recommend Romania to explore those possibilities, to explore the industries of that. I would also recommend Romania to follow the example of those countries that are already starting to understand that this vicious circle of the difficulty to develop an immaterial market, which is that of SAF and ESAF, can only be broken by a combination of both existing mandates and trade, but more importantly, incentives and public and private collaboration, and also trying to help support initiatives such as the book and claim, which is being debated as part of the European Union, and well, maybe also taking into account the examples of Exelum and the different pipelines. Exelum is an example, of course, of the transportation of stuff, making it available within the country. I think Romania has lots of potential in this sense, and I can only recommend to explore other options.
Well, thank you very much. I think it's time now for the conclusions. The transport sector is responsible for a significant percentage of the greenhouse gas emissions. So let's see what are the main directions to follow to decarbonize this sector. Now I'm coming back to Mr. Dumitru Chisăliță to give us his point of view.
Thank you for this question. I think it was a lot of good things we discussed here and a good example. I think it's very important to be very realistic and to put together the future target with the reality, because it's very important to understand for all this direction somebody is necessary to pay, or it's very important to don't forget about the customer and the possibility to the customer to make these payments. Another aspect, because I want to change the register, it's very important to take the last lesson learned. I have in the last 4 years 2 big lesson learned. One was in 2022 when the Russian attacked the Ukraine, and the Europe will don't have enough natural gas because the Russians stopped to delivery of natural gas in the central part and the west part of Europe. And the second lesson learned, what happened in the Hormuz area, where it's blocked the oil, has blocked the kerosene for the plane, it's blocked the LNG. I think two aspects is very important for the Europe, for Spain and Romania, and we want to understand Europe. It's very depends for the some kind of forms of energy, and it's very important to understand for the future. It's necessary to put the reduce to elimination of CO2. It's very important to increase the renewable. It's very important to increase the new technology and the new forms. It's very important to understand the security of the Europe and what happened in different parts of the world. It's possible to affect the Romanian or the Spanish or the Europe in general. And last, don't forget to the customer. All our idea, all our direction, it's necessary to have possibility for the customer to pay for these aspects. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we're moving now to our studio in Spain for the conclusions from Mr. Ioan Bucuraș, please.
Well, on my end, I think this was a very good debate or maybe presentation, if you will, from two different industries. I'm very glad that we've had the insights in Romania as well. I particularly enjoyed the feedback from Mrs. Stoenescu on where we stand on sustainable aviation fuels, but also from Mr. Iordache and Mr. Khisăriță regarding the energy sector. I particularly value what was mentioned also by Francisco Montalban here from the Green Hydrogen Cluster on the civil society impact. So indeed, the civil society needs to be aware of what this entails, why it is important, why clean technologies are not only climate policy, but also an energy security policy. And as we've seen in the, and also health policy in cities, mind you, but as we've seen in the presentation on the projects that are being developed, particularly in Andalusia here in Spain, the creation of 12,000 new jobs. I think all those things are very, very much intertwined. And now what maybe from the side of transport and environment, what particularly worries me is the future challenges, and those things need to be addressed, because what we see across Europe, also starting in Romania right now, but I think the blackout, the electricity blackout was mentioned here as well. Since we are transferring and we have this big transition that will require a huge amount of renewable energy, is the grid capacity. So that's going to be a huge challenge. I'm not going to go into the details of where it is easier to integrate those systems, right? So the connection to the grid, whether it's Red Electrica here in Spain or Transelectrica in Romania, that's a whole different discussion. And then finally, energy storage, right? Because if we don't address energy storage, then renewables become a bit, extra production of energy that is not being stored and is not being used efficiently, essentially is energy lost. So in a nutshell, I think that's where we stand. And I would very much like to thank everyone involved, the Romanian counterparts, as well as the Romanian embassy here in Madrid, and IATA, of course, and the Green Hydrogen Cluster, and of course on behalf of ourselves from Transport and Environment for having the opportunity to host such an important discussion.
Well, thank you very much. I can only agree with you that it was a very interesting discussion here, and I would like to thank all our guests for the valuable insight given today, and also to give the floor to Mr. Bogdan Bădescu for the closing remarks, please.
Thank you very much, Monica. It's not going to be so much of closing remarks because I think everything has been said. Just three messages. First of all, thanking you personally, Monica, and Ioan as well, for your availability of working together with me, with us here at the embassy, for this meeting, hybrid meeting. We're very, very happy that we were able to make this a reality. Secondly, I would like to congratulate the Association for Intelligent Energy on their 10th anniversary, not only of existence, but of shaping the way Romania understands energy, protects its customers, and prepares for the future in this field. I think in closing, since Ioan has basically done half of my job, he thanked everybody, but I would also, on behalf of the Romanian embassy here in Madrid and of the trade office that I represent, I would like, as I said, to thank each and every one of you for your presence, for your insights, for your valuable ideas and expertise, and the availability for sharing them with us. I confess that as a non-expert, I'm truly amazed at what all the ideas that I've heard here today. And I think all the contributions were extremely valuable to the conversation. Since shaping the future of transportation requires collaboration, visionary thinking, and your expertise, as I was saying, greatly enriched this bilateral dialogue on all the sustainable solutions that we need to take into account. I'm confident that everything that was shared here today will pave the way for further meaningful progress towards cooperating on these issues on a bilateral manner. And this being said, I will give the floor back to Monica, thanking you again for the participation.
Well, thank you very much. It is a pleasure and an honor to work with the Romanian Embassy in Madrid, and also a pleasure to work with Mr. Ioan Bucuraș that we met on this occasion from the Transport and Environment Spain. Thank you again for organizing this event together. I would like to also thank to all our speakers today and to send you our kind wishes. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you.